On the morning of December 11th, 2023, a man would visit his brother's apartment complex in Las Vegas to just check in on him. What he found instead was 5 bodies of a mother, his brother, and 3 children, all bloody with several gunshot wounds. Soon after, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police were called to the 7500 block of Oso Blanco Road, near Durango Drive, and soon confirmed that these were the bodies of a family. The woman was Shannara Patterson, a 34-year-old mother and her 3 children, aged 6 to 14, and the man was Marvin Patterson, their father. In a tragic twist, this entire family was gone in one night because of a man's selfish decision. This case forces us to question our own instincts, the people we allow into our lives, and how well we truly know them. Before we get into our story, we would love to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Shannara Patterson. Also, we would like to take this crime case as a close reminder to everyone to be careful with who we trust. Born on December 10, 1989 in Long Beach, California, Shannara Patterson, also called Nara by her friends and family, was a 34-year-old woman living in Las Vegas in the city of Nevada. She lived as a wife and the mother of 3 wonderful children, 14-year-old Kajavia Cohn, who was born on October 6, 2009, 6-year-old Zamira Patterson, born on September 12, 2017, and 11-year-old Derek Jr., mostly known as DJ, who was born on December 6, 2012. Kajavia was called Zaya, and Zamira was called Duty by family and friends. Her husband, Marvin Patterson, was her second partner, and only the father of 2 of her children, but despite that, the family seemed like a complete one. From the outside, they were a loving couple living a humble and happy life, often seen together in public and indoors making videos together. Generally, they had the perfect blended family. However, in a shocking discovery, this was not in fact the case at all. Shannara and Marvin Ray Patterson fell in love and tied the knot in Las Vegas in May 2019. They even created a wedding website for their guests to make reservations. In the Our Love Story section of the website, Shannara thanked God for sending her a partner who appreciated, loved her, and never belittled her. She goes on to mention that she would never take Marvin for granted. At this point, Shannara is very much in love with Marvin. That is why the couple had a grand wedding, because they wanted something that would stand out and express their love and commitment to one another. Her father walked her down the aisle where Shannara was seen wearing a beautiful gown. Unfortunately, her father passed shortly after the wedding, leaving her mother as her only parent. It is no surprise that Shannara now started seeking comfort and strength from her loving husband, who her father had last handed over to, as seen in the video. Although Shannara had 2 children already before meeting Marvin, it would seem as though they shared a common ground with family dynamics. Because Marvin had previously been married with 2 children as well, he had gotten a divorce in April 2019. A month before getting married to Shannara. Although details from that marriage are not clear, it did not stop him from being a father figure to Shannara's children. After some time, they soon had a baby of their own and became a family of 5. Although Las Vegas is primarily known for its gambling, shopping, fine dining, entertainment, and nightlife, Shannara made money in a different way. She was a cosmetologist who had amazing skills with hair care, especially when it came to braiding. She would also install wigs for customers, and her clients were notably women of color. One would say Shannara was a successful entrepreneur, and she was a very stylish young woman. She also looked amazing, from her makeup to her outfits, and especially her hairstyles. She always made sure she looked great. She also didn't take care of herself alone. Her kids always looked good too, whether it was at home or school. Not only did she pass her sense of great style to her children, but they also had her sweet, charismatic qualities. She was described by family and friends as sweet, kind, and selfless to everyone. Her daughter Kajavia was funny and loved to draw, while Zamira Patterson was a generally sweet little girl. From all indications, it seemed as though Marvin was the best man for Shannara, because not only was he loving, but he was also good to his stepchildren. There were also no records of previous misconduct whatsoever to indicate he was a man to be wary about. You would think this family, just like many others, looked great from the outside, but one would soon discover the disturbing dark side hidden within this family. By the way, I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. The dark side of Marvin Patterson began to surface in October 2022 when he was first arrested. The charges against him, as documented by the Clark County District Court, were serious crimes that involved 9 felony counts tied to offenses against children. These allegations included 5 counts of lewd acts with a child under the age of 14, 2 counts of assault on a minor under 16, 1 count of lewd conduct with a child under 16, and 1 count of first-degree kidnapping of a minor. The case was very popular due to the gravity of the accusations and the age of the victims. The alleged incidents took place between 2013 and 2022. This is quite the shocker, especially because this same man had a 14-year-old stepdaughter living in the same house as he was. The people that Marvin assaulted are alleged to be girls of who had once lived in the apartment that he shared with Shannara and the kids. As expected, his disgusting behavior led him to jail. According to records from the Las Vegas Justice Court, his bail was initially set at $100,000 by a substitute judge with strict conditions attached, including surrendering his passport to prevent any attempts to flee, undergoing high-level electronic monitoring, and being prohibited from having any contact with minors under the age of 18. These measures were put in place to ensure both his appearance in courts and the safety of the community. However, Marvin did not have the $100,000 to pay bail, so he spent 2 months in jail awaiting his hearing. This was a man who had a family of 5. Obviously, he did not have $100,000 saved anywhere. At this point, Marvin was singing his innocence everywhere, so Brett Whipple, his attorney, filed a request to lower his client's bail. The request for a reasonable bail was presented to Judge Diana Sullivan, who was the real presiding judge over the case, on December 15, 2022. The motion argued that the initial $100,000 bail was unaffordable for Patterson, and that a reasonable bail along with release upon conditions would be much appreciated. He further claimed that Marvin wasn't a flight risk because he had submitted his passport, although it was never confirmed whether he did commit these crimes or not because he was late when court documents were first reviewed. The motion submitted by Marvin's legal team argued that there was little evidence from the state. They even said that the charges of rape and kidnapping against Patterson had little supporting evidence. Additionally, several people testified about his character, including his brother, his wife, China, his former girlfriend, and his son. According to court records, his brother was present at the December 15th hearing to reduce his bail. These were all still an attempt to reduce the $100,000 bail to $10,000. Eventually, the judge reduced Patterson's bail to $10,000, even though the conditions of his release remained unchanged. Patterson managed to pay the bail and was released. He was placed under house arrest with a tracking device used to monitor his whereabouts. Now remember, he had a 14-year-old stepdaughter that meant he would have to live in a separate building from his current family. This was the worst decision that could have been made in this situation. What nobody knew, including Shannara and Marvin's brother, was that he was a monster who only a few months later would commit the most heinous crime against Shannara, his 3 children, and then himself. When Marvin arrived home, after paying $10,000 bail, he would find himself facing an increase in family expenses. Given that the average cost of a rented apartment in Las Vegas as of 2023 was $1,104 per month in some affordable areas, while other areas have much higher prices with an average rent around $1,472 per month. Now, in November, Shannara had been evicted from the home she had temporarily rented, so she moved back in with Marvin along with their kids. Since he was the man she loved and she believed in his innocence, she did not think Marvin was capable of inflicting harm on her, let alone the children. She did this completely ignoring the fact that the same man was on restrictions from being anywhere near children below 18 years old. Almost exactly a year after facing court on December 11th, 2023, a day after Shannara celebrated her birthday and turned 34, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department received a panic call from Marvin's brother Jason.
A warning, the following audio may be hard to hear.
They're all gone. I need the police. I don't know who it is to come.
You need police or medical?
I need medical. I hear one of the kids, they're breathing. They're trying to breathe.
Marvin Patterson's brother, frantic, around 10 a.m. December 11th. He says Marvin texted him, overwhelmed. Then he kicked down the apartment door to see the tragedy within.
I saw my nieces, his nephews. I think they're gone. And then he was in the bed with his wife, and they're deceased as well.
The property manager also calling police.
One of the children's gasping. They look like they've all been shot in the back of the head. The two adults are dead in the bed.
Okay. And do they have gunshot wounds too? Fire medical services.
Yes.
Okay. Do not hang up.
Gunshot wounds and blood coming out their ears.
He called to report the bloodied bodies he saw in Marvin's apartment. The night before the incident, Marvin had told his brother that he was getting evicted and his car was going to get repossessed. Jason had decided to check up on his brother the following day, only to find an extremely traumatizing image in front of him. Shannara, Zaya, Duty, DJ, and himself had all been shot by Marvin, who turned the gun on himself last. However, even with the panicking, he realized only DJ was breathing faintly, so he immediately called 911, requesting an ambulance and medical aid to save DJ. Sadly, Shannara and her daughters were pronounced dead immediately, but DJ was able to survive after being rushed to UMC, University Medical Center. DJ not only sustained physical injuries, but has been emotionally and mentally scarred due to this incident. This case leaves many questions and emotional trauma, leaving people to question why he wasn't kept in jail. What could have possibly prompted this murderous nature, and did anybody have any idea of the kind of man Marvin was before this incident? Marvin may have been feeling some signs of depression and frustration towards how his life was going, which may have been why he took it out on his family and on himself in the end. In the heat of the moment, many close relatives and friends of Shannara expressed their opinions, saying he should never have been let out of jail, implying that he should have remained there for the safety of not only the family, but for the general society at large. Several activists also criticized the judge who reduced his bail to only $10,000, stating that he would still be in jail if it was still $100,000.
We need to sit down and we need to have a conversation. We need to talk with Metro. We need to talk with the individuals that are working in the judicial system. We need to hold this judge accountable and understand why she did what she did, and how do we make sure that that does not happen again.
The truth is that many people came around to speak on his behalf to convince the judge that he was a good person. Jasmine Lee, who is the founder of a charity that provides support for murdered people of color, was shocked when she saw Marvin's charges. She called his release a slap in the face to victims. Demanding accountability from the court, she wondered why he was released when he was facing serious child abuse allegations. Marvin's case regarding the assault would have been taken to trial in April 2024, but in December 2023, he decided to take the lives of his wife, children, and himself. In an utterly disgusting manner, he did not spare anyone, even his biological daughter. Instead, he wanted his family to leave the world with him. The funeral of Shannara Patterson and her two daughters was a heart-wrenching event that brought together a grieving community in Las Vegas. The tragedy that claimed their lives left many in shock and mourning, with the funeral serving as a moment for loved ones to pay their respects and say their final goodbyes. The event was a blend of sorrow and reflection, with heartfelt tributes pouring in from those who knew them best. gathered to mourn. The atmosphere was heavy with grief, as those in attendance reflected on the lives of Shannara and her daughters. Loved ones spoke of Shannara's kindness and dedication as a mother.
I cherish every moment with you, even though it might not have been long. I wish you could have stayed with me, but God had other plans. I wish I could see those pretty smiles or just hold on to your hands. I had died for 14 years, just as goofy as can be, and duty just for 6, my little sweet, sweet twin babies. Just know that I adored you both, but heaven needed your pretty soul. So get your wings and fly away. I'll meet you at the heaven gate. A piece of my heart left with my dad. This one crushed my soul. Never in a million years I thought it hit so close to home. I gained 3 angels in one night. I feel empty, I feel numb, I feel alone. Just promise you'll stay with me and guide me through this storm. I love you all so dearly, and I'll keep your names alive. I love you, my 3 favorite people. Long live Nara, Duty, and Zod.
Shannara's mother, Jamesetta Bornudi, gave a tearful eulogy, expressing her disbelief at the tragedy. She spoke of her daughter's loving nature and her grandchildren's promising futures, and how none of this would have happened if Marvin was left in jail. To help with funeral expenses, food truck owner Isaiah Robinson, who said that he knew the family, created a fundraiser. He expressed that he just wanted to send the children off the right way. Jamesetta Bornudi, along with other family members, expressed their deep gratitude for the outpouring of support. In a public statement, she said that they were overwhelmed by the kindness and generosity of everyone who has reached out to help during this time. In the aftermath of the tragedy, a GoFundMe campaign was launched by Derek Cox, a relative, to help cover the funeral expenses and DJ's medical care and ongoing therapy. Out of the $100,000 goal, only $5,119 has been raised at the time I recorded this story. I will leave a link to this page in the description section below. As the family navigates the aftermath of this loss, they do so with the knowledge that they are not alone. The community's response, as well as the outpouring of support at the funeral, provided a glimmer of hope in an otherwise dark time. Moving forward, while the funeral provided a moment of closure for many, the healing process is just beginning. Derek's recovery remains the primary focus for his surviving family members. The tragedy of Shannara Patterson and her daughters is one of the saddest stories we have covered, because it was caused by someone they trusted deeply. Through this all, and the sheer wickedness of Marvin, he was not able to successfully kill his family as Derek survived against all odds. It is a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit. What do you think? Could this case have been avoided if Marvin's $100,000 bail still remained? What could have happened to push Marvin into doing this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you.
I hate this man. This man has destroyed my family. This man has took something from me that he can never give it back. Never. And I ask you, mercy, get this man life. What was he doing out here in society? Nothing. He took advantage. He don't care. He ain't shown no remorse. He don't care. He killed my baby, and she was so dumb. She loved this monster.
On the evening of December 11th, 2015, a 24-year-old woman was found dead and abandoned in a trash dumpster in one of the neighborhoods of Detroit, Michigan. The woman was Kajavia Globe, who had left home for work the day before this tragic incident. When she did not return home, her family grew anxious and called the police, who later came to a shocking discovery of Kajavia, killed in a hurtful manner and her body dumped. But that was not hurtful enough. It was how close the person arrested for the murder of this innocent woman was. This is the story of Kajavia Globe. Born on January 17, 1991, in Detroit, Michigan, Kajavia Chardre Globe was the oldest of 3 girls. Their mother, LaShonda Globe, had Kajavia when she was just 16 years old. LaShonda and Kajavia were close as they pretty much grew up together. Their bond was unbreakable.
I have 4 daughters, which Kajavia is the oldest. Wonderful girls, every last one. I had Kajavia at 16. She outpassed me. All of them had, actually. I'm a proud mother. Kajavia was the perfect big sister. They call her Sister Mama. Because when I left, she took control. She was my everything.
According to her mother, LaShonda, Kajavia was an active and amazing big sister to her siblings. She was a big help to her mom, and her mom supported her in the same way. But Kajavia wasn't just a beautiful face or a perfect big sister. She was also an incredibly smart girl. She was focused on her grades, and she attended one of the best high schools in her neighborhood, CMA Communication for Media Arts High School in Detroit. Like many teenage girls discovering romance, she found herself drawn to a boy she met in her computer class, Maxwell Brack. Kajavia had been studying at the school for some years, but Maxwell had only attended the school briefly. During that time, Kajavia and Maxwell took a liking to each other. Eventually, Maxwell visited Kajavia's home, and he was introduced to LaShonda and the other family members. Kajavia and Maxwell would regularly hang out together doing regular teenage stuff and would end up dating. But according to LaShonda, Kajavia's mother, Kajavia was not allowed to have boyfriends as long as she was living under her mother's roof. But that didn't stop the young lovers. Kajavia was smitten with Maxwell. He could do no wrong in her eyes. At just 17 years old, Maxwell got his own place, and Kajavia didn't waste time in helping him decorate his place and give it that woman's touch. The pair continued their relationship all through college. Due to her academic achievements, Kajavia went on to attend Wayne State University, where she studied anesthesiology and mortuary science.
Her first major was anesthesiologist. Her second major was mortuary science.
Kajavia was more than a determined student. She was also a hard worker. She worked as a receptionist in one of the dorm halls at her school. In the fall of 2015, Kajavia went on to become employed as a customer service representative with a company called Minix Co. Records. Her coworkers described Kajavia as a breath of fresh air, a kindred spirit, a woman who always kept up with herself, happy and positive, and just a big ball of energy. In December of 2015, after just working for a few months, working vigorously, and being an outstanding employee, Kajavia was promoted to a supervisory leadership role at her job. Her promotion was well-deserved. Kajavia had a lot of love for her coworkers, so she couldn't leave her department without acknowledging her team. So, on December 11th, Friday morning, she left them a farewell letter on her desk that read, "Goodbye," and she left work early. However, little did her coworkers know that would be the last time they would ever see or hear from her again. By the way, I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. After Kajavia left her workplace, she didn't go home, and nobody had heard from her past noon that day either. Her mom and her sister Alondriana claimed to have spoken to her earlier that morning. They also claimed nothing seemed out of the ordinary when they had spoken to Kajavia, so when LaShonda was informed around 8 p.m. later in the evening from her other daughter Alondriana that Kajavia had never made it home, they decided to check the home where Kajavia resided. They also contacted Maxwell to ask about her whereabouts, but he said he hadn't heard from her. The family rode around the neighborhood in search of Kajavia. LaShonda stated it was strange for her to not have heard from Kajavia, or for her not to be home at that time of the evening, as they had never gone a day without speaking to each other. After a few hours, the family printed out flyers of Kajavia's photo and began handing them out in hopes of someone being able to help locate her. They also handed some of the flyers to Maxwell so he could do the same. Alondriana searched Kajavia's iCloud and reached out to everyone who had come up in Kajavia's recent call log and texts to see if they knew anything about her disappearance.
Get into her iCloud, her phone records, things of that nature. Yeah.
Did you have access to these things?
Yes, I gained access. Yes.
So did you go into her iCloud?
Yes.
Why?
Because I can track her location from there.
Were you able to track her location?
No.
And then you said you accessed her phone records.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
To see who's the last person to call.
On Saturday, December 12th, the family went to the police station to file a missing persons report. LaShonda had found out from Alondriana that there had been a withdrawal of $500 from Kajavia's debit card at an ATM the night she went missing, which was really odd because LaShonda had taught her girls not to carry around cash and just use their cards for purchases. So it didn't make sense why that amount of cash would be withdrawn. Alondriana found out about the withdrawal because she called the bank to find out if there had been any activity on Kajavia's account, and the bank had confirmed that there was. So Alondriana and LaShonda went to the bank and spoke to a manager to find out who had made the withdrawal. However, the manager was unable to give out specific information, so they had to wait for the detectives to be able to obtain that information for them. A few days later, on Monday, December 14th, 2015, the police released eerie photos from surveillance video of a man in a vehicle wearing a Halloween mask going to the ATM on 7 Mile and Telegraph Road using Kajavia's debit card. This, of course, brought on more tension and speculations as to who could have been under that mask. Also on that morning, LaShonda received a call from a friend at approximately 7:45 a.m. to inform her that Kajavia's car was found abandoned on Chatham Street near Telegraph Road and Fenkell. When police searched the car, they found evidence that a crime had been committed. Later that same night, just a month before Kajavia's 25th birthday, LaShonda found out that the body of her 24-year-old daughter was found to be deceased. Her body was discovered by a neighbor in a wheeled dumpster in the 18,500 block of Fielding Street, in the back of an abandoned home. When LaShonda was made aware that her daughter's body had been found, she was in so much shock that she passed out, and when she was revived, she saw a bunch of police officers going in and out of a house. So she asked why they were going in and out of that specific house and what the significance was there. That's when it was revealed Maxwell was the occupant of the home. During the investigation, it was discovered that a neighbor had seen Maxwell Brack dragging a dumpster out from his home and taking it to a vacant home a couple of houses down. She also saw him take it to the back of the abandoned home and then bring it back out toward the front of the home, which was really odd. She said she saw him struggling with the dumpster as if there was something heavy inside of it, and she knew something was wrong because normally people take out their dumpsters at about 5 or 6 in the evening, but he had taken his out at about 11:30 a.m. on that particular day, and with all of the back and forth he was doing with the dumpster and the amount of time he just stood by the dumpster while talking on the phone, the neighbor felt compelled to tell officials what she had seen, and this is why it was so strange to find out that Maxwell had been the one occupying the home the police were going in and out of. Initially, when LaShonda was asked if she had any idea what may have happened to Kajavia when she went missing, she stated she had a feeling she may be around town with Maxwell and probably just didn't want to answer her phone because Kajavia knew how LaShonda felt about Maxwell. Apparently, LaShonda was never very fond of Maxwell. Maxwell made an assumption based on what he claims. Kajavia told him that LaShonda didn't like him because of his upbringing. Maxwell had grown up in a broken home, and Maxwell claimed that LaShonda felt Kajavia could do better, so she resented her daughter's relationship with Maxwell.
He took her life because she was on a road to success. She was gonna drop that zero because she hadn't found her hero.
When LaShonda was made aware that Maxwell lived in the house, the dumpster was initially pulled out. She knew it was him who was responsible for taking Kajavia's life.
Straight up from the jump, when I did a missing, his name was the first name, because she don't deal with nobody like that. She don't mess with just anybody, and you know.
On February 5th, 2016, Maxwell Brack was arrested and charged with the murder of Kajavia Globe. It was also discovered that it was Maxwell underneath the Halloween mask, and he withdrew the money from Kajavia's debit card. Medical examiners were able to determine that Kajavia's demise was a homicide. However, unfortunately, they were unable to say what exactly caused her death. During the trial, LaShonda revealed Maxwell was heartless towards Kajavia and was extremely jealous of her. There was even a time when Max had broken Kajavia's nose.
He was abusive. He broke her nose. He was taking her down. He was destroying her life.
Was it 2014 that there was an incident that you characterized as a domestic violence incident between them? Between Max and Kajavia?
Yes.
That was 2014. Correct?
Yes.
LaShonda spoke about how Kajavia was surpassing him in life and Maxwell couldn't stand it during their relationship. LaShonda consistently reminded both her daughter and how disapproving she was of their relationship due to the level of volatility they shared with each other. She even told them if they couldn't leave each other alone one day, they would possibly end up hurting each other. But Maxwell's attorney would use this medium to question Kajavia's relationship with her mother. He pointed out that LaShonda had physically struck her, creating the imagery that LaShonda was no better than Maxwell, that she was the one who was abusing Kajavia, and Kajavia just wanted to live happily with her boyfriend Maxwell. However, LaShonda disputed that idea and made it very clear that any time she got into it with Kajavia, it was strictly due to her disapproval of their relationship and not for any other reason. During the trial, Maxwell had spoken about how in 2015 he had to spend some time in jail for shooting someone who attempted to rob him, and he had shot them with an illegal firearm, so he had to do 2 years in prison behind that.
In 2011, I believe it was, someone robbed me, and in the process of that robbery, I had a weapon of my own that I pulled out and I shot that person. And as a result of that, the weapon that I had was not legal to me. At that time I was thinking 18 or 19, and I couldn't have legally a gun at that time. And so I was charged with felony firearm and sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Maxwell was adamant that he had never put his hands on Kajavia, but court officials played audio where Maxwell clearly stated that he had put hands on Kajavia, stating that he slapped her in the face when she admitted to him that she was having sexual relations with another man.
About that text, she was saying they have Sunday dinner every Sunday, and she goes over there. She was saying, I'm coming with a side. So Uncle L was really a nigga that she was fucking. Okay, so once I found that out, I got mad and slapped her. Like, my hand was just like this across the seat. I slapped the shit out of her.
However, Maxwell denied that being in the context of the voice audio and instead claimed that he was reciting what someone else said about him verbatim, and that he was not admitting to being physically violent towards Kajavia. Maxwell Brack maintained his innocence throughout the trial, even stating that he thought maybe Kajavia had just wanted to disappear willingly. During the trial, Maxwell revealed that he didn't hand out the flyers to help look for Kajavia. So why didn't he, since he claims to have loved her? In August 2016, they found Maxwell Brack guilty of second-degree murder of Kajavia Globe. On September 26, 2016, Judge Cynthia Gray Hathaway handed Maxwell a hefty sentence of 70 to 100 years. Maxwell's courtroom behavior contributed to his sentencing because apparently he had found some humor in the situation as he was seen smiling with his attorney in the courtroom. This made the judge make it clear that the last 10 years of the 70-year sentence were the result of his snickering and smiling. Maxwell tried to express that he was smiling to keep himself from getting angry over something one of the court deputies had said under her breath to him, but that didn't faze the judge. During the victim impact statements, Kajavia's family gave an emotional speech expressing their grief. Kajavia's younger sister Anaya spoke first. She expressed saying, "I just want to say that I'm torn apart. I hope that he suffers." A vigil was held on Friday, December 18th at Kajavia's old job, and everybody came out to show support, even those who didn't even know her personally. People went to the town and rallied for justice for Kajavia. They wore red and purple in honor of Kajavia, and 24 purple balloons were released in the sky for each year that Kajavia was alive. The tragedy of Kajavia Globe is one of the saddest stories we've covered, as her disappearance and mysterious death left her family and an entire community searching for answers. The sheer wickedness of one selfish human was responsible, as he cruelly cut short a young life filled with promise. What do you think could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Should Maxwell have received harsher bail conditions? How might that have changed the outcome? On July 10th, 2022, police received a call about a disturbance at an apartment complex. Officers rushed to the scene, prepared for anything but not for what lay ahead. When they forced their way inside, they found a nightmare. 3 bodies were lying there: the suspect's mother, his stepfather, and his girlfriend, the one who seemed to be his main target. One female officer stated that she had never seen such level of cruelty in her entire career.
Will I ever get over this? I will never get over somebody doing this to my niece.
The story began a month earlier on June 2nd, 2022. Late that night, the suspect and his girlfriend had a terrible argument. Known for his jealous nature, he demanded her phone password, but she refused. Her defiance to give out the password enraged him, and he struck her repeatedly. As his anger deepened, he poured gasoline on her leg, then went looking for a lighter. In that horrifying moment, she saw a slim chance to escape and took it. Running out into the dark streets, it was 3 a.m., and she sprinted to a neighbor's house. When she rang the doorbell, her heart pounded until finally the door opened. The neighbor saw her distress, called the police, and the man fled. But the story didn't end there. His mother posted bail and he was released. Just 2 days later, his mother, stepfather, and girlfriend were found dead. This is the horrifying story of Zalea Frazier. This story takes us all the way to Detroit, Michigan, a city with a complex history shaped by economic shifts and social challenges that have influenced its crime rate. Zalea Frazier was a woman whose kindness and vibrant spirit was evident in everything she did. She had a natural charm and an uncanny ability to steer life in the direction she wanted, a mix of determination and grace that made her unforgettable to everyone she met. So, when this story saturated, people remember all her good character about her. Growing up with 6 siblings, Zalea witnessed firsthand the battles her family endured. She watched as her brother fought bravely against cancer, and as her sister faced the lifelong challenges of cerebral palsy.
That's why she wanted to become a nurse.
These experiences left a profound impact on her, igniting a deep-seated desire to help others, especially those facing medical struggles. Zalea wasn't just pursuing nursing for a career. It was a mission born from her own family's trials, a calling that went far beyond herself. Whatever it was, it captured the heart of a boy named Jonathan Welch. They started dating when she was just 16, and he was 17. 2 young souls completely smitten with each other. Their bond was so strong that everyone around them believed they were destined for a lifetime together. Their love story unfolded publicly on social media, where they posted about their relationship with pride, sparking both admiration and a hint of envy from others. When they celebrated their 6th anniversary in October 2020, they were expecting a baby. The news brought them boundless joy, and they shared it eagerly with friends and family.
Man, he get to carry on this greatness.
We have our boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to. Another victory for Big Dog. Big Dog doing it. Another victory for Dog. Yeah.
Zalea took to social media to express her excitement, reassuring her unborn child of her love and promising a world of support. Jonathan, too, embraced the role of a soon-to-be father, stepping up with a commitment to build a strong foundation for their little family. Together, they moved forward as a team, carefully planning for their baby's arrival and creating a world filled with love and safety. But beneath the surface of their shared joy and dreams, a shadow loomed. A darkness neither of them could yet see, waiting to change everything. Zalea was strikingly beautiful, and she did attract plenty of attention online. Men often left flirty or inappropriate comments, but this was simply part of the social media world she was building for herself, hoping for brand collaborations to support her boutique and her modeling career. Yet, Jonathan couldn't accept this. The more popular she became, the more his jealousy festered, reaching a point where he began to accuse her of cheating. His insecurity reached such extremes that he demanded access to her phone, scouring through messages and notifications for proof of betrayal. Though he never found anything, his relentless searching didn't calm his fears. On June 2nd, 2022 at approximately 3 a.m., their newborn baby started crying, so both Jonathan and Frazier woke up to the noise. The mother, as expected, woke up promptly to attend to her baby, and Jonathan just in bed, eyes open but doing nothing. After a short while, idle Jonathan grabbed Fraser's cell phone that was on the bedside table and swiped, but the phone was locked. He asked the password to Fraser's cell phone. When Fraser refused, Jonathan jumped out of their bed and reached the power extension cord, wrapping it around her neck and repeatedly applying and releasing pressure. Remember, Fraser had just given birth to their new baby, so she was physically too weak to fight back. Having her tied up with the cord, Jonathan, who had gasoline hidden in their bedroom, poured it on Fraser's body, specifically between her legs. He did not stop on that. Jonathan heated a metal spatula on the stove to Fraser's arms and legs. He attempted to sexually assault her with a large pole during the attack. Also, he beat her several times with his belt and threatened her with a power drill. But this wasn't even the most shocking part of this brutal morning. The most shocking part was that Jonathan was so determined to continue hitting her that even when he was tired, he rested and then continued again after gathering some strength. The attack lasted for approximately 4 hours.
Held her hostage for hours. He beat her. And when he got tired, he rested and beat her some more. What he did, torture her. He poured gasoline on her. He wanted to kill her.
Fraser managed to convince Jonathan to remove the extension cord so she could tend to their crying child. When he did, Fraser ran out of the front door fully naked to a neighbor's house. Jonathan chased her frantically, hoping to get a hold of her before she could reach the neighbor's house. But the adrenaline of someone fighting for her life was too much to handle.
My sister was fully, she ran out the house and ran to a nearby neighbor house to get help. How do you let somebody out that did that to somebody? How do you let them out?
And Zelaya made sure to be on the front foot. Luckily for her, the neighbors responded immediately. Jonathan followed her to the neighbor's porch, attempted to pull her back, but eventually left. The neighbors took Fraser in, provided her with a blanket, and called 911. 911 arrived and met Zelaya in a devastating state, but she was still able to give the exact description of Jonathan and the car he was using. A bolo was issued immediately, and in no time, his location was revealed. Zelaya was taken to the hospital to assess the severity of the injuries and appropriate treatment. Detroit police officers were dispatched to the scene at 7:24 a.m. and arrested Jonathan later that day at 11:24 a.m. Following the attack, Jonathan was charged with multiple felonies, including torture, home invasion, criminal conduct, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and 3 counts of felonious assault. Despite the severity of the charges, Jonathan was issued a $100,000 bond, 10% cash or surety, by Magistrate Don White. With 10% cash required, this meant that Jonathan would be out of jail on $10,000 bond. In no time, his mother was able to raise the bond amount and get him out of jail. But he was ordered to have no contact with Zelaya, and he was to wear a GPS tether and also stay in his mother's house. Many, especially at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, were stunned by the low bond set for Jonathan, given the trauma he had put Zelaya through.
You know, $10,000 is easy to come up with. It's people that steal something from a store that would get more than $10,000. You torture somebody, you assaulted somebody, and you got out with paying $10,000.
The prosecutor's office vowed to push for a higher bond once they gathered substantial evidence to support Zelaya's claims. But Zelaya, meanwhile, was trying to heal and move on. She moved to her parents' family. She was finding a sense of peace and freedom she hadn't felt in far too long. She desperately needed that break, and her family, seeing the toll everything had taken on her, rallied to give her a much-needed reprieve. On July 10th, 2022, her family organized a gathering in her honor, filling the day with laughter and warmth. It was a celebration of Zelaya's strength and her fresh start.
When I see you.
A day filled with joy and hope for the future. Yet, tragically, no one knew this would be the last time they'd see her. Later that same day, Jonathan's mother reached out to Zelaya, asking her to come by for a talk. She promised that Jonathan wasn't there, trying to reassure Zelaya of her safety. In truth, Zelaya no longer feared him being around. Part of her still hoped he would change, that he would become the partner she had once loved and the father their child deserved. Just minutes after Zelaya honored the visit, 911 was called to Jonathan's mom's vicinity. When police arrived, they were met with the shock of a lifetime. Jonathan's mother lay there with a knife stuck in her back. Apparently, she managed to crawl her way to a neighbor's house and begged that they call 911. When she asked who did that to her, there was only one name on her lips: Jonathan. While the reason he went that far was unknown, the police still had one big task on their hands. Inside Jonathan's mother's house was Zelaya, his stepfather, and the 1-year-old baby. The police knew they had a situation on their hands and needed to act fast. But what they didn't know was that the situation was a dress rehearsal compared to what they were going to meet in the home. The police went to the home immediately, demanding that Jonathan come out. Jonathan turned a deaf ear toward them and instead chose to engage them in a gun battle. Before that, neighbors sighted him lowering the 1-year-old child through the window and decided to go rescue the baby. Luckily for them, the baby was unharmed. However, they still needed to save the 2 people in the home with Jonathan. Meanwhile, a fierce standoff had ensued with both officers and Jonathan firing at each other. Seeing he stood no chance, he lit the house with him inside on fire. Frantic efforts were made to flush him out while also trying to put out the fire. After 7 hours, Jonathan finally surrendered himself to the police. They immediately went to save Zelaya and his stepfather and were met with a horrific sight. Both bodies lay lifeless, unalived by blunt force trauma. Jonathan's mother was in critical condition at the time and was rushed to the hospital. After Jonathan Welch's mother, Flossie Nicole Bray, was rushed to the hospital, she fought for her life but ultimately succumbed to her injuries on July 16, 2022.
The third victim of a tragic family attack in Harper Woods has died tonight. The suspect is facing a slew of charges.
The incident unfolded inside a home on Kenosha earlier this month, just days after the suspect was released on bond.
Her death marked the third in a tragic series of events that had started in the Bray home in Harper Woods. Welch, already in custody after a 7-hour standoff with police at his mother's house, faced a series of charges. These included 3 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of his mother, Flossie Bray, his stepfather, Robert Bray Jr., and his girlfriend, Zelaya Frazier. Additionally, he was charged with assault with intent to murder, second-degree arson, felonious assault, and felony firearm offenses. The family of Zelaya was beyond devastated when they heard of the news, wondering why Zelaya had accepted the invitation. It was later uncovered that Jonathan was also responsible for the murder of Natayla Morse, a 24-year-old woman found dead in a field on Detroit's East Side on June 4, 2022. Jonathan was accused of murdering Morse through blunt force trauma to the head, stealing her car, and setting it ablaze.
It's hard to believe that someone would just beat a woman to death and then throw her body into a field just like this one. Family members still can't believe to this day that it happened.
He faced charges for this 4th murder, which had occurred even before his initial arrest in June 2022. In a preliminary examination held in August 2022, the court reviewed the extensive list of charges and the details surrounding each assault, including the violent attack on Zelaya Frazier in June 2022. By July 2023, Jonathan Welch had pleaded guilty to all charges connected to the deaths of his family members, his girlfriend, and Natayla Morse. On November 1st, 2023, Jonathan was sentenced to 45 to 70 years in prison for the murders of 3, with an additional sentence of 20 to 40 years for the murder of Natayla Morse. The sentences were ordered to be served concurrently, marking the end of a deeply tragic and violent series of events. Given that Jonathan repeatedly demonstrated he was a danger to Zelaya, their child, and society as a whole, should he have been granted bond at all? Doesn't allowing him a bond contradict the purpose of a correctional system? Was paying that bond supposed to suggest he would change his behavior? Should the authorities bear full responsibility for this tragedy?
Definitely broken. They should never let him out. They let him out of jail. And he killed my sister. He killed my sister. They should never let him out of prison. I don't have nothing to say.
Police called the bond given to Welsh an opportunity to kill.
He was given a chance with bond at that time and took his freedom as an opportunity to finish the job and kill victim Frazier.
And as for his mother, did she perhaps see signs of Jonathan's abusive behavior and choose to ignore them? Or was she genuinely unaware of how dangerous he was? We would love to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Zalea Frazier and everyone affected by her death. Thank you so much once again for watching another video by Wednesday Crime. If you like the way we bring to you stories or you learned something new today, please like this video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. As always, remember to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Perhaps someone learns from your experience or advice. I will talk to you again in another video. It's bye for now.